My friends, I want to ask you a question today. If someone truly wants you in their life, what will they do? Will they make excuses? Will they ignore your presence? No. When a person values you, they will show it, not just in words, but in action. And let me tell you, this is not just about human relationships. This is about our walk with God. How many times has the Lord called you, reached for you, and yet you have turned away? How many times has He knocked at the door of your heart, and you've let the noise of this world drown out His voice? You see, the greatest invitation ever given was from Jesus Himself, when He said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He never forces Himself into your life. He invites you, and when you truly want Him, you don't just hear the call, you answer it. If someone wants you in their life, they make time for you. They make an effort. And my friend, I ask you today, are you making time for the one who gave his life for you? Are you seeking the Lord with your whole heart, or are you giving Him only what's left over? Before March 30, take a moment, reflect, ask yourself, who am I really living for? Because at the end of this life, it won't be wealth, status, or approval that will matter. It will be whether you truly knew the Savior and walked with Him. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until it's too late. If you want God in your life, show Him today. Seek Him with all your heart, and He will never turn you away. If someone truly wants you in their life, they will show it. It's as simple as that. Words can be spoken, promises can be made, but in the end, it is action that reveals the truth. We see this in our daily lives, in friendships, in family, in relationships. A person who values you will not leave you guessing. They will not keep you wondering where you stand. They will not disappear when you need them the most. Instead, they will be present, intentional, and committed. They will show up not just when it is convenient, but even when it requires effort. We all know what it feels like when someone genuinely cares for us. It is not about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It is about consistency. It is about showing up when they don't have to. It is about remembering the small things, making sacrifices, and proving through action that their words are true. And on the other hand, we also know what it is like to feel unwanted, to feel like an afterthought, to feel like we are the only ones trying to hold on. That feeling of being ignored, of not being prioritized, of always making excuses for someone who never makes an effort. It is painful. But let me ask you this. If we expect people to show us they care, why do we not hold ourselves to the same standard when it comes to God? If we believe that someone's actions reveal their true intentions, then what do our actions reveal about our relationship with Him? Do we treat Him as a priority, or do we place Him on the sidelines of our lives? Do we only turn to Him in moments of desperation while ignoring Him in times of comfort? Do we say we love Him with our lips but deny Him with our choices? If someone truly wants you in their life, they make time for you. And if we truly want God in our lives, we must make time for Him. It is not enough to claim belief in Him while living in a way that does not reflect that belief. It is not enough to say we love God while spending all of our time chasing the things of this world. The truth is, we make time for what matters to us. We rearrange our schedules for what is important. If something is a priority, we don't make excuses. Many people say they want God, but their actions tell a different story. They wake up every morning and fill their day with everything except Him. They have time for work, for entertainment, for social media, for hobbies, for everything else. But they cannot spare even a few moments to seek His presence. They desire the blessings of God, but do not desire a relationship with Him. They want His protection, His provision, His guidance, but they do not want to surrender their lives to Him. They want Him to answer when they call, yet they ignore Him when He calls. A person who truly wants you in their life does not treat you as an option. So why do we treat God that way? Why do we push Him aside, assuming that He will always be there, waiting patiently for us to return when we are ready? Why do we give Him what is left over instead of giving Him our best? God does not ask for our leftover time, our leftover energy, or our leftover attention. He asks for our hearts fully and completely. He asks us to seek Him first, to place Him above all else, to love Him not just with words, but with our whole being. He is not fooled by empty promises. He is not deceived by half-hearted devotion. He sees through our excuses, through our distractions, through our divided priorities. He knows when he is truly wanted, and he knows when he is merely being used. But here's the incredible thing. No matter how many times we have pushed him away, no matter how many times we have ignored him, he has never stopped wanting us. He has never given up on us. He has never walked away. While we have been inconsistent, he has remained faithful. While we have been distracted, he has remained near. While we have placed him second, third, or last, he has continued to call us back to him. If we truly want God in our lives, we must show it. Not just with words, not just with occasional prayers when we are in trouble, but with our daily choices. We must seek him in the quiet moments, in the hidden places, in the depths of our hearts. We must make room for him, not as an afterthought, but as the foundation of everything we do. Because when we seek him with all our hearts, we will find him. When we draw near to him, he will draw near to us. When we truly want him, he will not turn us away. Jesus invites us to come to him, but he never forces his way into our lives. This is one of the greatest truths about God's love. It is not coercive, it is not manipulative, and it is not imposed upon us. Instead, it is an open invitation, a call that can be answered or ignored. From the very beginning, God has given us the freedom to choose, the ability to decide whether we will embrace his love or walk away from it. But just because he does not force his way in does not mean he is not calling. Just because he stands at the door and knocks does not mean the invitation is any less urgent. Throughout history, God has always reached out to humanity, longing for a relationship with his creation. From the moment Adam and Eve hid themselves in the garden, God was searching for them, calling them out of their shame. From the days of the prophets, he was pleading with his people to turn from their ways and return to him. And then in the greatest act of love, he sent his Son, Jesus Christ, to walk among us, to teach us, to heal us, and ultimately to lay down his life for us. Every miracle, every parable, every moment of Christ's life was an invitation, a calling to come, to believe, to receive the gift of salvation. But what did the people do? Some followed, some believed, some left everything behind to walk in his footsteps. Yet many others ignored him. Some rejected him outright, some mocked him, and some simply could not make room for him in their lives. Even when he stood before them, even when his words carried the power of life, there were those who turned away. And today, nothing has changed. The call is still going out, the invitation is still open, and yet so many continue to ignore it. Jesus never forces himself upon anyone. He does not demand obedience, he invites it. He does not manipulate love, he offers it freely. He does not take control of a life that is unwilling. He waits patiently for the door to be opened. The tragedy is that so many people hear his voice but never respond. They feel the stirring in their hearts. They sense the longing for something greater, but they hesitate. They delay. They tell themselves they will come to him later when they have more time, when they are less busy, when life is more convenient. And in doing so, they push away the very thing their soul is crying out for. If we want to experience the fullness of God's presence, we must answer the call. We must recognize that Jesus does not merely offer a religious experience, a set of rules, or a philosophical idea. He offers himself. He is not inviting us to a set of traditions, but to a relationship. He is not calling us to mere belief, but to transformation. When he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest," he is speaking to the depths of our souls. He is offering the one thing that this world can never give: true peace, true purpose, true fulfillment. But to receive what he offers, we must respond. We cannot remain neutral. We cannot stand at a distance. We cannot ignore his voice and expect to experience the fullness of his love. A gift is only valuable if it is accepted. A door that is knocked on must be opened. A call must be answered. And yet so many hesitate. Some hold on to the weight of their past, believing they are too broken, too sinful, too far gone. Others cling to the distractions of this world, unwilling to let go of the temporary things that keep them from the eternal. Some are simply afraid. afraid of what it means to truly surrender, afraid of what they will have to leave behind, afraid of stepping into the unknown. But my friend, let me tell you this. When you answer the call of Christ, you are not losing anything. You are gaining everything. You are stepping into the life you were created for. You are receiving a love that will never fail, a grace that will never run dry, and a hope that will never be shaken. The things of this world will fade, but His promises remain forever. The burdens you carry, the fears that hold you back, the doubts that whisper in your mind, all of it pales in comparison to the greatness of knowing Him. The invitation has been sent, the door has been knocked upon, the call has gone out. Jesus is waiting, not with condemnation, not with judgment, but with open arms. The question is not whether He is calling. The question is, will you answer? We make time for what matters to us. It is a simple truth, one that is evident in the way we live our daily lives. If something is important, we prioritize it. We set aside time, we rearrange our schedules, we make sacrifices to ensure that we can give our attention to what truly holds value in our hearts. If someone is important to us, we do not let excuses get in the way. We do not push them to the background of our lives. We do not only think about them when it is convenient, instead we carve out time for them. We cherish them. We make sure that they know they matter to us. But when we examine our lives, we must ask ourselves, do we treat God with the same level of importance? Do we make time for Him the way we do for other things? Or do we place Him at the bottom of our priority list, giving Him only what is left over after everything else has been taken care of? The truth is, many people claim to love God, but their actions tell a different story. They say He is important to them, but their daily lives are filled with everything except Him. They have time for work, for entertainment, for social media, for personal ambitions, for friends, and for hobbies, but somehow they never seem to have enough time for prayer, for reading His Word, or for simply sitting in His presence. We often convince ourselves that life is too busy, that we have too many responsibilities, too many distractions, too much going on to spend intentional time with God. We tell ourselves that we will pray later, that we will read the Bible when we have more time, that we will deepen our relationship with Him when life settles down. But the reality is, life will always be busy. There will always be distraction. There will always be something demanding our attention. If we do not make the decision to put God first now, we never will. If we continue to let the things of this world dictate our priorities, we will always find ourselves distant from Him, always feeling like something is missing, always wondering why our spiritual lives feel empty. The issue is not that we do not have time. The issue is that we do not make time. Every single person on this earth has the same number of hours in a day, yet some walk in deep fellowship with God while others feel completely disconnected from Him. The difference is not in the amount of time they have, it is in how they choose to use it. Those who truly desire a relationship with God do not wait until they have spare time, they create time. They understand that nothing in this world is more important than knowing Him, and so they structure their lives around that truth. They wake up early to seek Him, they set aside moments in their day to pray, they fill their hearts and minds with His Word instead of filling them with things that only leave them feeling empty. If we truly value our relationship with God, we must be intentional. We must decide that He is not just something we fit into our schedules when it is convenient, but that He is the very foundation upon which our lives are built. We must be willing to set aside distractions, to turn away from things that pull us away from Him, to say no to temporary pleasures in order to say yes to eternal fulfillment. We must treat Him not as an afterthought, but as our first thought. Not as a backup plan, but as our only plan. The Bible tells us to seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and everything else will be added to us. It does not say to seek Him when we have free time. It does not say to put Him second, third, or last. It says to seek Him first, before anything else, before our own desires, before our own ambitions, before the distractions of this world. When we do this, when we put Him at the center of everything, we begin to see our lives transformed. We begin to experience the fullness of His presence, the depth of His love, the power of His peace. But if we continue to put Him last, If we continue to treat him as an option instead of a necessity, we will never experience the life he has called us to. We will always feel like something is missing, always struggle to find purpose, always wonder why we do not hear his voice. Not because he is not speaking, but because we are not listening. Not because he is not near, but because we have allowed so many other things to come between us and him. God does not want our leftover time. He does not want to be squeezed into the margins of our lives. He wants to be the center, the priority, the first love of our hearts. The question is not whether we have enough time for him. The question is, do we truly want him enough to make time? Before March 30, we must take a moment to reflect and ask ourselves who we are truly living for. It is easy to go through life without ever stopping to examine the direction we are headed in. The world keeps us busy, distractions are everywhere, and the days pass by so quickly that we hardly have time to think about the deeper matters of our souls. But if we do not stop and evaluate our hearts, we may find ourselves walking a path that leads us further and further away from God without even realizing it. There is a difference between believing in God and living for him. Many people claim to believe in him, but their lives do not reflect that belief. They acknowledge his existence, they may even attend church or say a prayer now and then, but their hearts remain unchanged. Their actions, decisions, and priorities are still centered around themselves rather than around him. They pursue their own desires, their own ambitions, and their own comfort without ever truly surrendering to the one who gave them life. To live for God means to surrender, to lay down our own will and trust in his plan. It means that we no longer live just to satisfy our own desires, but to fulfill the purpose he created us for. It means that every choice we make is filtered through the question, does this honor him? Does this draw me closer to him or pull me further away? Am I living for eternity or only for this moment? Many people hesitate to ask themselves these questions because deep down they know the answers. They know that their lives are filled with distractions that keep them from God. They know that their priorities do not align with his will. They know that they have placed temporary things above eternal ones. But instead of making changes, they ignore the conviction, push away the truth, and continue living as if there will always be more time to get serious about their faith. The truth is, time is not guaranteed. We do not know how many days we have left. We do not know when our last opportunity to turn back to God will be. The enemy wants us to believe that we can wait, that we can put it off, that we can worry about spiritual things later. But every day that we delay, our hearts grow more distant. Every moment that we ignore his voice, our ears become less able to hear him. God is calling us to examine ourselves now, not tomorrow, not next week, but today. He is asking us to take a hard look at our lives and be honest about what we see. Are we truly living for him, or are we just giving him lip service while keeping our hearts focused on the things of this world? Are we seeking him with all that we are, or are we only turning to him when we need something? Are we building a life that is centered around his word, or are we just fitting him into our plans when it is convenient? It is not enough to simply say that we love God. Love is shown through action. If we say we love him but refuse to obey him, our words are empty. If we say he is our priority but give our time and energy to everything else, we are deceiving ourselves. If we claim to be his followers but our lives look no different from those who do not know him, something is wrong. God does not want a part of us. He wants all of us. He does not want to be one of many priorities. He wants to be the foundation upon which everything else in our lives is built. He does not ask for our leftover time, our half-hearted worship, or our occasional prayers. He asks for our hearts fully and completely. Self-examination is not always easy. It requires humility. It requires us to be honest about the areas where we have fallen short. It requires us to acknowledge that we have been distracted, that we have let things take the place of God in our lives. But when we do this, when we allow him to reveal the truth to us, he does not condemn us. He calls us closer. He does not shame us. He offers us grace. There is still time to turn back. There's still time to realign our hearts with His will, but we must choose to do it now. We must stop putting it off, stop making excuses, and start living for the one who gave everything for us, because at the end of this life, the only thing that will matter is whether we truly knew Him and walked in His way. Life is filled with choices, and every day we make decisions that shape our future. Some choices seem small and insignificant, while others carry weight and long-lasting consequences. But no matter how big or small each decision we make reflects the priorities of our hearts. What we choose to focus on, what we give our time to, what we chase after, all of these things reveal what truly matters to us. If we take a step back and examine our lives, we must ask ourselves, are we making choices that draw us closer to God, or are we making choices that lead us further away from Him? Many people live as though their faith is just one small part of their lives, rather than the foundation of everything they do. They separate their spiritual life from their daily life, as if faith is something they engage with only on Sundays, or when they face a problem too big to handle on their own. But true faith is not compartmentalized. It is not something we pick up and put down based on convenience. It is meant to shape every decision, every action, and every aspect of who we are. When we truly desire a relationship with God, it changes the way we live. We no longer make choices based solely on what feels good in the moment or what the world tells us is important. Instead, we seek His guidance. We lean on His wisdom, and we choose the path that honors Him even when it is difficult. Living for God requires sacrifice. It requires letting go of things that once held our attention, walking away from habits that keep us bound, and making choices that align with His truth rather than our personal desires. But the reality is, many people struggle to fully surrender to God because they fear what they might lose. They hesitate because they do not want to give up their comfort, their ambitions, or their way of doing things. They want the blessings of God without the obedience that comes with following Him. They want to be close to Him, but are unwilling to let go of the things that separate them from Him. The truth is, every choice we make moves us in one of two directions: closer to God or further away from Him. There is no neutral ground. We cannot live with one foot in His presence and one foot in the world. We cannot claim to love Him while consistently making choices that dishonor Him. We cannot say He is our Lord while refusing to follow His commands. A heart that truly desires God does not make excuses for sin, does not justify compromise, and does not chase after temporary pleasures at the expense of eternal reward. God does not force us to choose Him. He does not demand our love. Instead, He calls us. He invites us. He gives us the opportunity to seek Him with all our hearts. And when we choose Him above everything else, we experience a joy, a peace, and a fulfillment that nothing in this world can offer. But this requires trust. It requires faith in His plan, faith in His timing, and faith that He knows what is best for us. The world tells us that we must pursue success, wealth, and pleasure to find happiness. It tells us to do whatever makes us feel good, to chase after our own desires, and to live for the moment. But what the world does not tell us is that these things will never satisfy our souls. No amount of money, no level of achievement, and no earthly pleasure can fill the void that only God can fill. People spend their entire lives chasing after things that will not last, only to realize in the end that they have been running in the wrong direction. If we truly believe that God is who He says He is, then we must trust Him enough to make choices that reflect that belief. We must be willing to put aside our own plans and follow His. We must be willing to let go of anything that stands in the way of our relationship with Him, and we must recognize that every choice we make is an opportunity to either strengthen our faith or weaken it. God has given us the ability to choose, but He also makes it clear that our choices have consequences. When we choose Him, we step into the life we were created for. We walk in His peace, we experience His guidance, and we are filled with the purpose that comes from knowing we are exactly where we are meant to be. But when we choose to go our own way, When we put other things before him, we find ourselves lost, empty and distant from the very one who loves us most. There is still time to turn back. There is still time to realign our hearts with his will, but we must choose to do it now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. Because at the end of our lives, the only thing that will matter is whether we chose to follow him with all that we are. As love is more than just words, it is shown through action. We can say we care about someone, but if our actions do not reflect that care, our words are empty. The same is true in our relationship with God. Many people say they love him, but their lives tell a different story. They acknowledge him with their lips, but their hearts are far from him. They may attend church, pray occasionally, or even read the Bible, but when it comes to the way they live, their priorities reveal that God is not truly first. They make time for everything else, their jobs, their ambitions, their entertainment, their relationships, but they struggle to make time for God. If someone truly wants you in their life, they will make an effort. They will not leave you guessing about where you stand. They will not only come to you when they need something, they will not treat you as an afterthought. And in the same way, if we truly want God in our lives, it will be evident in the way we seek him. We will not treat him as a last resort. We will not come to him only when things are falling apart. We will not push him to the side while we pursue our own desires. Instead, we will prioritize him, honor him, and seek to know him more every day. God does not force himself on anyone. He does not demand love or obedience. He invites us into a relationship with him, but it is up to us to accept that invitation. He stands at the door and knocks, but he will not break the door down. He waits for us to open it. He calls us, but he does not drag us. He longs for us to come to him, but he will not force our hearts to love him. That is why our response matters. That is why our actions reveal the truth of our hearts. If we truly love him, we will not ignore his voice. If we truly desire him, we will not live as though he is optional. Many people struggle with commitment when it comes to faith. They want the benefits of knowing God without the responsibility that comes with following him. They want his blessings but do not want to surrender. They want to feel his presence but do not want to spend time with him. They want his peace but do not want to obey his commands. But a true relationship with God cannot be one-sided. We cannot expect to experience the fullness of his love and grace while keeping him at a distance. We cannot live as though he is just one part of our lives rather than the foundation of everything we do. When we truly desire God, we will pursue him with all our hearts. We will seek him in prayer, not out of obligation, but out of love. We will read his word, not just to check off a religious duty, but because we hunger to know him more. We will obey his commands, not because we have to, but because we trust that his ways are good. And when we fail, when we stumble, when we fall short, we will not run away from him in shame. We will run toward him, knowing that his arms are always open, that his grace is always sufficient, and that he is always ready to receive us with love. God has never abandoned us, even when we have ignored him. He has never stopped loving us, even when we have turned our backs on him. He has never withdrawn his invitation, even when we have rejected it time and time again. No matter how far we have strayed, no matter how many mistakes we have made, his love remains the same. He is always ready to welcome us back, always waiting for us to turn to him with sincerity. But we must not take his patience for granted. We must not assume that we have endless time to seek him. We must not delay our response, thinking that we can put it off until a later time. The longer we wait, the harder our hearts become. The more we ignore him, the easier it becomes to live without him. And before we know it, we can find ourselves so distant from him that we no longer hear his voice, no longer feel his presence, no longer recognize our need for him. Now is the time to turn to him. Now is the time to seek him with all that we are. Now is the time to show through our actions that we truly desire him in our lives. Because at the end of our days, what will matter is not how much we claim to love God, but how much our lives reflected that love. The time to seek God is not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, not when we have exhausted all other options. The time is now. Every moment we delay is a moment lost, a moment we could have spent in His presence, drawing closer to the one who loves us more than we can comprehend. God is not distant. He is not waiting for us to be perfect before we come to Him. He is near, calling us, inviting us into a deeper relationship with Him. But He will not force His way into our lives. He waits for us to respond. So the question is not whether God wants us. He has already proven that He does. The question is, do we truly want Him? Do we desire Him enough to seek Him, to make Him the priority of our lives, to surrender our hearts fully to Him? The choice is ours. But we must make it now, because one day time will run out. And the only thing that will matter is whether we truly knew Him, walked with Him, and lived for Him with all that we are.